Even though the book of Hebrews is towards the end of the New Testament, the story of Hebrews really starts way, way back in the Old Testament, back with the Exodus around 1500 BC. Moses took the Israelites out of Egypt to Mount Sinai, and there God made a covenant with them.
So you might be asking, well, what is a covenant? A covenant is a legal relationship between two people, kind of like a marriage that binds them together through the promises they make to each other.
So what was the covenant God made with them at Sinai? God said, "You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt, and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now, if you obey me fully and keep my commands, you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a holy nation and a kingdom of priests."
This is all great, but God is holy, which means that He is distinct, separate, perfect and pure. And all mankind are sinful, imperfect, impure and rebellious. And this is a problem. The Bible teaches us that this means they can't have a relationship with Him. So God put in laws and systems that would help them relate to Him.
Laws for purity. A long list of things they could and couldn't eat, could and couldn't touch, places they could and couldn't go, relationships they could and couldn't have. All these laws were to show the people that they weren't holy like God, were to make them clean and enable them to relate to Him.
And since the people were sinful and guilty, every time they came to God, they came as people deserving of death. But instead of them being killed for their guilt, an animal would die instead. This sacrifice is what they needed to relate to God.
God was present with His people in a big tent called the tabernacle. It was the place where people would bring sacrifices every day and every year. It's also where the priests were.
Now the priests were a special group of people chosen out of the whole nation who would mediate or be in the middle between God and the people. When the people wanted to pray, the priests would pray for the people. When the people needed to offer sacrifices, the priests would offer sacrifices for them. They were the only ones allowed into the tabernacle, and only one of them, once a year, was allowed into the very center of the tabernacle, a place called the Holy of Holies, and that is where God was.
If anyone went into the Holies of Holies when they shouldn't have, it was so serious that they would die. This happened a few times in the Old Testament, because God is holy and people need to relate to Him on His terms.
The book of Leviticus has all these rules for cleanliness and sacrifices and priests. If you ever sit down and read it, you'll be overwhelmed by all the things they had to do and all the animals that had to die.
But that's the point. It's no small thing to relate to God. It's no simple thing for a simple people to be in a relationship with a holy God. God continually calls His people,
Be holy as I am holy.
and that's the way it was for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Year after year they offered sacrifices, but it was never enough. Priests who mediated between God and man were never good enough, and they continually needed new ones when the old ones would grow old and died.
But while all this was happening, many prophets came to the people and told them that one day God would send someone to change all of this.
Jeremiah says,
The days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the people of Israel and with the people of Judah.
It would not be like the covenant I made with their ancestors when I took them by the hand and led them out of Egypt.
Because they broke my covenant, though I was a husband to them, declares the Lord.
This is the covenant I will make with the people of Israel after that time, declares the Lord.
I will put my law in their minds and write it on their hearts. I will be their God, and they will be my people.
No longer will they teach their neighbor or say to one another, Know the Lord, because they will all know me.
From the least of them to the greatest, declares the Lord. For I will forgive their wickedness and remember their sins no more.
Then one day a boy was born, an Israelite.
And he claimed to be the fulfillment of that promise.
He said He Himself was the tabernacle.
He was the priest between God and man, and He would be the perfect sacrifice to deal with sin once and for all.
This is what Jesus did.
and the book of Hebrews is an explanation and a celebration of it.